Welcome to the American Dream in the Eyes of Immigrants podcast. I am your host, Heidy De La Cruz, and I am on the mission to change the narrative of immigration, one immigrant story at a time. Hi, Heidi here. Thank you so much for listening and supporting my podcast, but most importantly, the mission. If you would like to further support this podcast, there are a few ways you can do that. You can sign up for the newsletter. You'll receive the episodes straight to your inbox every time they drop. The link is in the show notes and the show description. You can subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel. And lastly, you can donate money. That link is also in the show notes and show description. If you would like to sponsor an episode or promote your business on this show, send me an email at heidi@heididelacruz.com. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the American Dream in the Eyes of Immigrants podcast. I am your host, Heidy De La Cruz, and today I have a very special guest. I have Ranjeet. He is going to be talking to us about living in India and then immigrating to the United States. Welcome. How are you doing today?
Wonderful, and thank you for having me here today.
No, thank you so much for taking the time to share about your journey. So why don't you introduce yourself to the audience, who you are, what you do, and get right into how it was growing up in India.
Absolutely. I'm Ranjeet. I'm a coach and a mentor, guiding professionals towards achieving American dream through EB1A green card. It's a talent-based green card, actually. Okay. And my childhood in India was steeped in a culture that valued education and community, shaping up my passion for learning and guiding others towards their own excellence. Let me put it that way.
Love that. And what part of India did you grow up in?
Oh, my father had a traveling job, so I think I have been almost in all parts of the country, actually. So I have been educated in every nook and corner of the country. Let's put it that way, some 8 to 10 different cities and places.
Awesome. And can you tell us just a little bit about like childhood growing up?
Yes. So as I said that I have been at different locations. I studied in a place called Mumbai, Pune, Jammu, Allahabad, Jhansi. Partly I traveled to almost all nook and corner in places like southern India. And my mother was a journalist and my father was a banker. So, we valued education and excellence to a very high degree. And Indians per se are anyway very, focused and oriented towards excellence and education. And I have been imbibed with that value, actually. So let's put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. And so tell us what events actually led you to immigrate to the United States?
I think to a very large extent, I may confess that, destiny has been very kind to me in a sense that I became a director general and dean at the age of 24 years in institute called Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies with over 20,000 students. Later on, I became at 28 a chief executive officer for Financial Planning Standards Board. Okay. I loved mentoring and coaching students, creating different programs. That's what we did in financial planning. Beyond the point, I felt that, I needed a wider canvas and bigger opportunities to propel my own success. I, frankly speaking, do not look at, USA as a different country. Let me put it this way.
Okay.
I think in India, many people who don't know this, doesn't allow dual citizenship per se. But let's put it this way, Hedy, that possibly US is the only country where if you leave India, you are still you are not considered to be not an Indian. It's still, it's just an extension part of. I looked upon USA as just being a, kind of an extension of India from that perspective, if I may say so. So it did allow me a better work flexibility. So today also I hold something called as an OCI card, which is called Overseas Citizen of India. Barring you not being allowed to vote or stand for a public office, it's like a permanent residency for India.
Okay.
So that gives me a flexibility. So I just consider this to be a, kind of, we are at both the places. So as simple as that. So it's just like a, helping you to expand your work horizons.
Okay. And so how long have you been here in the United States?
Well, it has been over 6 years now.
6 years. Nice. And so did you have any expectations of the United States before coming or not really?
I did envision US to be a land brimming with opportunity and innovation.
Yeah.
Uh, while this is true, and adapting to cultural dynamics was a good learning curve.
Yeah.
And I always felt that, I moved here after my age of 40. So normally people would move to a different country or a different place in a much younger scenario. That would be a normal people's perspective. I moved later on. So nevertheless, what I did was I did my master's after coming to USA during COVID.
Wow.
And that gave me education and law, give you always a deeper perspective of any country or any new place if you want to understand the dynamics. And I use exactly the same route.
Mm.
So that gave me a good understanding of how education functions here, how culture functions. You meet, I did my master's degree at Thunderbird. After this was my second master's, one master's in India and one in here. And that gave me a very good perspective. I would say that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the culture shock that you experienced once you moved to the United States.
Yeah, I think people are more direct here in communication, unlike contrasting sharply with very nuanced and very, if I may say, let's say, formal communication style in India. It was very refreshing, but yet a very challenging adjustment. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And so you were able to visit India after moving to the United States. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Oh yeah, actually, because of COVID, my travel got truncated. The plans were all truncated, and I, in
Oh.
fact, visited here during COVID only. Just COVID had just started here. I visited after 4 years, and returning to India was very nostalgia and a
Mm,
good introspection,
yeah.
offering me lens to appreciate the growth and changes within myself, influenced by my experience in the USA. It was like going back in time. I felt that
Oh,
way actually.
yeah. Oh, okay. What do you miss most about living in India?
Well, if you ask me directly, I miss Indian food.
Yeah.
Having said this, I do miss the warmth of people and the vibrancy of the culture.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
I
you know,
bet.
so that's, I think, with the most the community spirit and the general celebration of life, how we hold, I mean, how we organize festivals and everything.
Hmm.
They hold a very special place in my heart.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. So tell us a little bit more about the work that you do, because you had mentioned a little bit earlier about the visa that you help people with. So tell us about that.
You see, it's a visa is a green card is essentially a byproduct. I mentor professionals navigating for the EB1A green card. It's a EB1A green card is called an Einstein visa. So
Okay.
So normally what happens here is that somebody who wants to move to USA, you would always need a sponsor, either as an employer, or you need to start a $1 million business, or you need to have some kind of a relative or somebody who can sponsor you, essentially your parents or your brother or sister.
Hmm.
Now, for Indians, it takes roughly around the wait period. As of now, if somebody applies for a green card, wait period would be close to 100 years.
Wow.
Now, but there is another kind of a green card which is based purely on your sheer talent, which is
Okay.
called extraordinary ability. Now, if you were to apply under that category, you don't need a sponsor. You can self-petition your case to the US government. But you really need to be the best version of yourself in your field of expertise for that particular purpose. Essentially, you need to be, let's say, top 1%.
Okay.
So I have carved out a transformation coaching program that would help people to become the best version of themselves, where EB1A will be a byproduct or a milestone in your success story.
Okay. Okay. Very. And how did you get into this type of work?
Oh, what happened is I myself am an EB1A green card holder.
Okay.
A lot of people started approaching me if I could help in their journeys, because I think the people have been struck up, because one of the basic challenges people face here is that, let's say, the typical thing that they cannot change jobs, they cannot start business. So I have heard people saying that, oh, you are doing a wonderful podcast. If they want to start a podcast, they want to do some kind of gigs, let's say, that some opportunities, They want to, invest in certain properties and put them to Airbnb. One would not be allowed to do that if there are restrictions that visa imposes, that you cannot work beyond the purpose for which the visa has been granted to you.
Okay.
Now, and there are people who have been on visa for the past 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and they are stuck up with this. Now, I thought that this was a way of giving back to the society, to the people, to the community, wherein, one could help others to become the best version. And in the whole process, if they get a green card, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So how did you hear about this visa?
No, okay, that was because when I was in India, I was not on visa here actually, and like in a work visa, I was already in India at that time, and I was looking forward to come to the USA.
Mm.
Now, at that particular moment of time, I found myself very restricted here because I realized that you need a sponsor to come to the USA to get a green card, and that would eventually lead you to citizenship. Now, when I was just browsing the internet, I came across this EB1A green card actually here. And it's called Einstein visa. You need to be, the word used is extraordinary opportunity, extraordinary ability green card. Now, I personally don't look at it mere as an extraordinary ability green card. I look at much beyond. I personally feel that this was a best way for me to, kind of understand the process and possibly, let's say, I look at this as more extraordinary opportunity to kind of go beyond the frontiers what you have created for yourself, because in our own professional career we always live within a cocoon, and it's a very good comfort zone. You earn well, you are paid well, you got a good designation, you get all fancy things around you. Sometimes I feel that, this sometimes all good things in life, sometimes when you are getting consistently, they limit us, or they serve as a drug for us actually, to not to do certain things or to kind of push yourself beyond the frontiers. And I looked when felt that I needed to kind of achieve this as a success. I think EB1A green card and working towards this was very natural choice, and it helped me essentially. My own journey towards achieving this Einstein visa has helped me to become the best version of myself, and that is what I'm trying to percolate it to other people.
I love that. And what does the American dream mean to you?
Well, it represents an opportunity, let's say a pursuit of excellence, a freedom to innovate, and making a lasting impact. It's about, how do I put it in right words? Weaving one's legacy into the fabric of society that values diversity and hard work. I think
Yeah.
this is what American dream, and equal opportunity, of course. So this is like, they are not just mere words for me. And if you are a committed, if you're a hard worker, if you are sincere, this is the country for you.
Yeah. Love that. I love that. And how can people connect with you?
Of course, I have a link where we have a team. Our director of admissions can, assess one's profile where one is qualified for this particular purpose or not. And one can always reach out to us. We have nextleagueprogram.com, and one could reach out there, and we'd be more than happy to help people who are who want to embark on their journey by virtue of talent and fulfilling their American dream.
Amazing. And any last words or advice that you may have for anyone, the audience, anyone listening, or maybe someone who may be thinking of moving to the United States?
Okay, now here what happens is this country kind of honors talent, perseverance, and hard work. I think there is no point in coming here if you are just kind of having an escapist attitude.
Mhm.
Okay. And otherwise, one would highly be disappointed. Because one of the best things which I'm also learning as I meet with, interact, and work with some of my students, that they are very, very committed and sincere. They want to strive. And one of the things also that keeps me motivated in the job that I'm doing here is, I come across wonderful people who are at the pinnacle of their careers, and who really want to become the best version and forge ahead in life for the betterment of society first. Number two is their families, and then comes themselves. So if you follow this particular trail, this country is waiting for you.
Love that. Well, thank you so much, Ranjeet, for your time today and for sharing your story. And just thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me.